What's Your Bright Idea really came about from hearing lots of people who wanted to start business. We work through the Bright Ideas Trust with lots of young people particularly who weren't too sure about what they needed to know before embarking on the journey of starting their own business. And what myself and Paul wanted to be able to do was pull together what we say are the 15 or so most frequently asked questions of people when they're thinking about starting a business idea. Because lots of books are out there saying anybody can do it, it's for you, get out there, just give it a go. And actually that's not right, because not anybody can actually do it. But if you can ask yourself some simple questions, you can make the decision whether this is for you or not. So we're not out there selling snake oil charms. We're not saying that anybody can get involved, but we're saying if you ask yourself these 15 questions, am I the right person? Have I got a good idea? How am I going to make sales? Is my idea valid? All of those questions, how am I going to make the numbers add up? If you can answer those questions and get the right answers in them, then you can make the decision if this is for you. And I think that's the best place to start, because really what business people are very good at is identifying a problem, finding the solution, and then working out with a calculated risk if they should attack that problem in order to make money. I think what separates our book from lots of other books that are on the market, and there are tons of them, and we looked at so many of them when we were doing research and asked ourselves the same question: should we write another one to add to the many that are out there? What separates our book is that we're really talking about that pre-stage to starting a business, where you've got to do the planning. Get the planning right about what you're going to embark on, and that's really going to eliminate lots of the mistakes that you may embark on. We also wanted to make it simple, jargon-free, waffle-free, and not make people feel stupid. So our book's not a dummy guide, because we don't believe business is for dummies, but it's a very simple, straightforward, normal way of talking about how you can potentially make a business idea work for you. And I think when we talk to the majority of people that we work with, lots of people have fantastic ideas that they've written on the back of a fag packet or something in the pub on Friday afternoon. But then when they wake up on Monday, they think, well, I've got to go back to the job, I've got all these things. And what you get from our book is that you can open it up and say, well, let me analyse my business idea against these 15 questions that they're asking and see if it makes sense. And then you can make a decision if this is for you. So our book is very simple, jargon-free, gives you the tips and tricks that you need to start your own enterprise. I think over the last 5 or 10 years, you've seen a real growth in the amount of people wanting to start their own business. Not only has it become, the barriers to entry have come down, because now you've got access to the internet and information is much more readily available. You've also got a new set of icons out there who people admire, because it's no longer musicians or people who can dance really fast. It's actually people who have made successful business enterprises. So the Dragon's Dens of the world, The Apprentice, Lord Sugar, Sir Richard Branson, these are names that roll off people's tongues as people they think are successful people. I think what we've found now, though, is that sometimes those big icons are too big a jump for somebody who's thinking about just starting a particular enterprise. But they are all thinking about, how could I actually make my own money? Because with the cuts that are coming with our government, austere times are ahead, with the fact that people are going to have to tighten their belts, people are now thinking about how they can get multiple revenue streams into their households to generate and take control of their own lives. Because the worst fear for many people is getting that tap on the shoulder where they say, come into the office now, sorry, you've been made redundant. So people are now thinking of innovative ways to create something using their talents and their passions to generate revenue for their own selves. I think in addition to that, there is much more information now which tells you about how you can do it. The problem is that's not always the most straightforward, it's not always described in the most straightforward language. So there are fantastic agencies out there like Business Link and others, but sometimes that can be really complicated for people to get their head around what is actually do I have to do if I want to make cups or if I want to set up a hairdresser's. It's really sometimes too complicated. And I think where our book comes in is it makes it simple for those people who have that desire and passion to say, I want to start a business, but don't know where the first step for them should be. I think what we need to do now is really start the conversation with people about business as early as possible. I think it's far too late to wait to when I did it, when I was 24, 25, because then I had responsibilities, I had a wife, I had a child, and I had mortgages to pay. So the whole point for me is if we can get when they're young at school or further education facilities, they've got two components which I think are incredibly important around business, and that's boundless energy and no fear. And those two things combined can really make people come up with innovative new ways to think about doing what they need to do. If we start too late, then I think it's much harder to encourage somebody to take the big jump out of a corporate entity into starting their own business. And if we get those young people engaged, they're going to come up using new technology that's available and come up with new ways of doing things, which is where the business opportunities lie. If anybody wants a copy of What's Your Bright Idea, you should go on the internet, go to Amazon, go to WH Smith and you can purchase it there, or actually go down the high street and pop into your local WH Smith and you can pick it up in the business section. Alternatively, come to Bright Ideas Trust, write us a letter and we'll send you one. Obviously for a fee. I think for anybody out there who's got a business idea, the first thing you need to do is go and talk to people. One misconception around business is that you must keep it all to yourself because somebody's going to steal it from you. Actually, that's completely the wrong thing you need to do. Go out and find someone you respect who knows about business and share the idea with them, because that's going to give you the information, is it a good idea and what you should do next to take it forward. Once you've done that, then it's about understanding who your customers are going to be, how you're going to make enough sales and there's enough profit in those sales to be able to keep you alive as a business. And then finally, how can you be sufficiently differentiated from other people who are doing similar things to what you're proposing to do? Because don't be fooled into believing you're the only one doing this. That's the worst place to be. And even if you think you really have found that unique thing that nobody else is doing, remember, customers always have the option not to spend any money with you. So clearly understand how you're going to communicate to them to get that money out of their pocket. That was my advice to anyone to think about starting a business.